My name is Ness Di Battista. I'm an assistant professor at the Université de Sherbrooke in Sherbrooke, Quebec. I work primarily with geosynthetics in barrier containment systems, so looking at how we can improve environmental containment and reduce emissions of either contaminants or even greenhouse gases from landfills and other contaminated sites. So my interests really are in reducing carbon footprint, environmental protection. So barrier systems, keeping the bad stuff out of the environment, and then reducing carbon footprint. Landfills are, in Canada, 27% of anthropogenic emissions. So if we can use geosynthetics to help mitigate that, that's what I'm looking into right now in one of my projects. And then also, remediation, waste valorization, just a lot of environmental protection is what's driving me right now. The day before I applied to university, I decided I wasn't going to follow math and science because that was what I was good at. I was going to be an engineer because that is what I knew there's a job. There's a job in engineering after my degree. And then I only chose civil engineering because I didn't really understand what the rest did, but I know civil engineers built things. And I never thought I'd be a geotechnical engineer, and then I just fell in love with soil and everything that came with it. So the first time I heard of geosynthetics was when I was learning about tailings dams and geomembranes. When I decided to go to grad school, I was drawn to the program at Queen's with Dr. Rowe and the geosynthetics research there. And then he called me up, offered me a spot, and the rest was history. I got to really work on some amazing projects under him. My experience as a woman has been fairly supportive due to excellent mentors. I've been lucky that there's been a lot of women in my path who I could look up to, who I saw in positions such as being professors, being principals when I was working, and then my mentors, there were mentors at Queen's who I then was able to work closely with, who taught me a lot. And even now, my position at the Université de Sherbrooke is a fellowship that was offered for engaging women professors, and it's been very positively received in our community. They've hired some great women besides me. So my experience as a woman in science and engineering in the geosynthetics world has been overwhelmingly positive. However, there are times when you just look around and you feel a little lonely. I think the answer to feeling less lonely is, talking to somebody else, is looking at who's sitting next to you at these events and saying, hey, how's it going? And just asking, oh, what are you interested in? And you never know where that comes in. But it's also about, I like to think it's about having a friend. So even if you've met somebody once, making sure to come up and say hi to them 4 years later at the next conference. And I think people remember that and people appreciate that. I heard about the Young Members Committee through my supervisor, Kerry Rowe. He called me up one day and said, hey, Ness, I'm wondering if this is something that interests you. And I said, sure is. And I was lucky enough to connect with the Young Membership Committee, come to meetings, help out where I could. And I think it's a really great initiative because I think it's really helping have that rotation of leadership and experience through the committee. I think you can already see how it's being integrated very well, and I think you can already see its effect in this conference compared to the conference I went to a couple years ago even. Having the Young Members Association, I think that's really just going to help you stay interested. I think that's going to help make sure that there's ongoing learning, that I want to continue being involved with geosynthetics. And I think there's going to be ongoing learning, ongoing projects, there will be continued use, the industry will continue to advance because there will be a young pool of candidates coming in to take over when people leave, when people need to slow down. When it comes to geosynthetics, I'm just excited that maybe we can start using them in slightly different ways. And I still love looking at the research question, so a little bit more on the small scale, but I'm excited to use them where we haven't used them before. And I'm excited to look at their properties when we put them into use, because when we think about a lot of our testing, it's of virgin specimens. But they have to, in the containment industry, they have to last for years and years and years. So what excites me is what happens after it's undergone strain? What happens after there's been some aging or degradation? Is it still going to work when we have to put it through its paces? Is it still going to do its job? And that just like, I love those projects. I think they're the coolest things, and I think like that's what we need to talk about, is not right now, but 10, 15 years down the road. I think my advice to young people coming into the geosynthetics industry is it takes all kinds. So you're at this conference, for example, there's polymer chemists, there's geotechnical engineers, there's salespeople, there's a diverse range of experiences, and everyone has something to give, and everyone has something that can be applied in its own way. And it's come, find your niche, and there's a place for you.